Hey, what's up guys? Felipe here, welcome back. Today I'm gonna talk about something that always crosses my mind when I read certain comments. And by the title of the video and by the thumbnail, you may think that I went crazy or something. I'm using a subject that always comes to my mind when I read these comments to try and elaborate around the subject and what it invokes in my mind. As you guys probably know, I love to play some Dream Theater tracks, some Metallica tracks and other bands. These are bands that I grew up listening to, that are big influences in my playing and in my general musical life. I take the chance to play them as much as I can, and doing it for the channel is a nice way of doing it in my opinion, because I get to play these songs, which, you know, is a way for me to be in touch with the bass even when we don't have any shows or I don't have any recordings to do and whatnot. So I love to play these songs and that's why I do them. That's the only reason actually, just to have fun play these songs. I do a lot of Dream Theater songs and every time I do, I get a lot of this kinds of comments. John Myung better watch out. Or you would be the perfect replacement for John Myung in Dream Theater. Or you're better than John Myung. Or I like your tone better. Or etc, etc. And first of all, I am not at all in any way, shape or form bashing on the people who make these comments. I am very, very flattered by every comment. I may not agree with all of them, but I am very, very flattered and thankful for every comment, every compliment, even every criticism that you guys give me in the comments. And I don't think you should stop commenting these kinds of things. You're free to do whatever you want, and if that's how you feel and if that's a genuine thing that you feel, please keep on doing it. But I would like to take this phrase, John Myung better watch out, and elaborate on it, because there's a lot of underlying things when I think about comments like these that may not be apparent if you're not in the music industry, if you don't have a band, if you don't have a lot of knowledge of how the music business works and how a band works. I think that's more the point that I'm trying to make here. And this will be a long and, disorganized rambling, but I'll try to make it as organized as I can and try to connect my thoughts on the subject in a coherent way. If you're, doing something else, you're working or you're doing the dishes, this is more like a podcast type video, so you don't have to watch my face all the time. Feel free to do whatever you want and just listen, is the same thing. Of course, if you're Brazilian and you need to read the subtitles, I'm sorry, you have to bear with my face for a few minutes, all right? But yeah, let's get to the point. The first thing that comes to my mind when I read these comments is playing the bass and being able to play the songs and playing them cleanly and, doing justice to the original bass line is a challenge, no doubt. But for someone to, envision being in that band just because you can play that song well, it's a very distant thing. Playing the song is 10% of what it means to be in a band. It's much more about human relationships, professionalism, attitude, than it is about being able to play the songs as well as you can play them. This is not the point. Of course, the more demanding the band is in technical terms and in musical terms, the more difficult it is to find musicians to replace someone in a band like this. But anyway, 10 times out of 10, a band will choose someone with a better attitude, with a personality that they, connect better, with someone with a common ground, with a common history. Maybe they come from the same place, maybe they have known each other for years, over someone who may be better playing the songs or have a better tone or whatnot, which I'm not saying I do anything better than John Myung. I'm not saying that. I don't think I do. But even if I did, and let's not talk about me, let's talk about any bass player wanting to join Dream Theater. Playing the songs is not enough. For example, these guys, talking about Dream Theater as an example, but you can, apply the same concept to any band really. And especially any old band, any old, successful band. These guys formed the band some 30 something years ago They went to the music school together. I believe they met even before that. They were all friends before the band happened. They even had another band with a different name, Majesty, before Dream Theater, and it then became Dream Theater. But not to get too much into the specifics of the band. But these guys, they have known each other for 30 something years. And that means a lot. That means that throughout their lives, they have shared experiences as human beings that cannot be replicated by anyone. These guys got married, they had kids, they lost loved ones, they have gone through good times, bad times, they had success and shortcomings. They had to assemble as a group to make hard decisions, hard choices. Everything that happens to a band, but also everything that happens to people. This personal connection is sometimes more important than the musicality of each individual. Because if you don't connect to someone on a personal level, being great at your instrument doesn't mean anything. So when I see these comments, oh, John Myung better watch out. Why would he watch out at all? He is the founder of, or one of the founders of the band. He's an amazing bass player. He has created all these lines that I'm just replicating, even though I try to give it my small little flavor here and there. But if it weren't for him having created these bass lines in the first place, I wouldn't be playing anything, because there wouldn't be a bass line to play. So he created that. Second, there's no indication at all that John Myung plans to leave Dream Theater for any reason. I haven't heard. I don't think anyone has ever heard. And I don't think he'll ever leave Dream Theater. And I hope he never does. Because even if he does, and that opens up a spot as a bass player of Dream Theater, I would be very sad to see him go. And I'm not trying to be a hypocrite and say that I wouldn't jump at the chance to do an audition, to send material. Of course I would. But I would be very sad to see him go, because to me Dream Theater means a lot. And these guys together on stage and on the records, they have a unity that is bigger than the sum of each individual. When they get together, the music that they create is bigger than what everyone individually is able to bring. When they get together, they create something unique that's the sum of them. And not any one of these guys, and that's true for most bands, if not all. Individually, they probably wouldn't have the same magic going on. This magic is a result of getting together with your bandmates. And that's not also to say that you cannot change members in a band and achieve a great result. But it's going to be different. It's going to be a different band. Even if just one guy changes, it's a different chemistry with the other members, is a different musical result to the fans, is a different guy on stage that some of them won't accept because they love the old guy and they want him back. For some people, it's an opportunity to see someone else bring something new to the table and maybe innovate a little bit within the band sound. Sometimes it's very helpful for a band that, it's kind of in a comfort zone, to have someone new with fresh energy and get everyone motivated again. That can be great. But that original chemistry will never be achieved again, because people have changed. And it's the same with Angra. I totally recognize that some people are fans of the old lineup, the first lineup, and they can't accept that other people took their places and created new music. And I totally understand that, because I have the same feeling for some bands. The only difference in this case is that I don't waste my energy trying to bash the band 20 years later when clearly they have moved on. And you should too. You can listen to the old records. They're always gonna be there. There's something new going on. If you don't like it, you don't have to follow it. You don't have to listen to the records. You don't have to see the shows. Move on as well. That's what I think, at least. Also, you have to consider that working in a band is way more than just playing together. Actually, the playing together is the smallest part of a musician's day. Being on stage, in a rehearsal room, being in a studio, writing music or recording music. This is the very small part of what we do. Most of the time, we're making big decisions about the future, planning strategies, and working in a day-to-day basis at the smallest details of what a band is. And many people don't realize how complex it can be to run a band. How many different things you have to do. You have to think about the merchandise, you have to think about the shows, you have to think about the records. You have contracts with promoters, you have contracts with record labels, you have music publishing to deal with, you have other opportunities with sponsors and events and social media and press. There's just so much to take care of in a band. So being a musician is great if you can, play great and all. Some musicians like to just play and not get very involved. Some others get very hands-on with the everyday duties of a band. And that's also a very big part. So how much experience do you have? Do you have experience with travel? Have you done a lot of big shows which are very different from small shows? And most of all, imagine if you're John Petrucci or, Jordan or any of these guys, and for some sad reason, John Myung decides to leave the band. Would you really get a guy in Brazil to join your band? I always think about that, and not specifically just about Dream Theater, but other bands in general, because people question me a lot. Have you ever got an invitation from a big band from outside of Brazil? And yes, I've talked about it with a few bands, never had a proper offer. I had talks about it, but it's a challenge. When I'm in Brazil and the band is in Europe or in the US, imagine the United States. How many great musicians you have in the United States. Why would they consider getting a guy from Brazil to join the band? Of course, for me, it would be great. I would perhaps to take the opportunity of joining a band abroad and maybe moving abroad. I don't know, but I'm pretty happy with Angra and I have a lot of work here, so I don't think about it often. But of course, it's a thought that crosses my mind every now and then. And I realize by running my band and by being very hands-on with the band in a daily basis, how hard it is to bring someone from abroad to the band. Right now, Angra, we have Fabio in Italy, Bruno in the US, and it's a challenge. Right now, we're in the process of writing music and writing a new record, actually. And it is a challenge, even though we have the technology and we can do it, remotely and whatnot, but not having the band together in a place, it's a challenge. So why would they think it's a good idea to bring this guy from Brazil instead of looking for someone more local? And what's more, why would they get someone they barely know or they have met a few times but don't really know me, instead of someone that they know better, someone that is in their immediate radar, someone closer? This is a thing that I always talk about. Networking is everything. Everything. Being great, being a great musician, being able to play, it's your obligation. Networking is what will make people remember you and will make people think about you when they have an opportunity and they're looking for a musician. You have to be present. You have to be remembered. And networking is the best way that I know of doing it. And I don't have any network with these guys, really. Actually, I think our encounters have been very unremarkable, because every time I meet these guys, I'm such a big fan and from such an early age that I act like a fan, a starstruck fan when I meet these guys. So probably they don't have any memories from our encounters. Of course, I did open some shows for Dream Theater back in the day in 2005, but we had very little interaction and I wouldn't remember me if I were them. But I'm using Dream Theater as an example because I like to play a lot of the songs and that's what most people comment about. But could be any band. And this is not about me so much as it is about the mindset behind thinking about joining another band. What would they be looking for? How would they approach a musician? And what's more, these guys work with auditions, so they would probably assemble, like Dream Theater has done actually, a few musicians that they filter from talking to people and watching videos and people that they know, and they came up with 7 names, which Achilles was one of them actually, and they auditioned the 7, and then made a decision. So it's not that easy to get a gig like that. It couldn't be easy because, you know, it's a great band, a big band, a working, active band. Everyone wants the job. So they will make people work for it if and when this opportunity happens. They have changed keyboard players, drummer, singer, but way back. And I'm sure it's never an easy decision. Angra has gone through many lineup changes. So I have a little bit of experience on what are we looking for in musicians to replace the guy that left. What's the mindset of the band? What are we really searching for in a musician? And I can tell you 100% sure that personality, attitude, professionalism, these things count as much as being able to play the songs, being a great musician. Because of course, a new musician, he will bring something new to the table in the musical department. But also, this is the people that you will live with 24/7 inside a bus with 18, 20 people. So imagine if the personal relationship doesn't really work, it's gonna be hell for everybody involved. It's a very tough decision, and one that I hope that Dream Theater never has to make. I hope John Myung stays right where he is. He does an amazing job. I'm a big fan of what he has created through the years and what he still does. And I have learned a lot of my bass playing by learning Dream Theater songs and by learning John Myung lines. So John, if you're listening, which of course you're not, I really appreciate what you do, what you have done, what you have created, and what you still create with Dream Theater, and keep doing it, please. I'm a big fan and I'll be following along always. All right, guys, so like I told you, this was just rambling, not very coherent, but I hope my point has been made across, and I hope you can join the conversation in the comments. Tell me what you think. Also, right now, when you finish watching the video, there will be a question box on my Instagram live for 24 hours. Leave a question in my question box and I will add your question to the Q&A video that I'm preparing. So guys, thanks a lot. Thanks for being with me. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.